Greetings, everyone. This is Payment Lorenzo, your friend, your host, your coach of the Leader Without podcast. We have a great guest, my new good friend, Bryan Tarr from San Diego. We had a wonderful conversation last week. We're connected by our good friend, Michelle, phenomenal lady. And boy, we had such a beautiful conversation that as soon as we started talking, I said, you know what, Bryan, please hold that thought. I want you to say all of those again in the podcast because you have such a powerful message. So yeah, a little bit, Bryan. Wow, what can I say? Where can I start? There's so much to talk about him. I can spend at least 5-10 minutes just talking about his intro, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to butcher it. So I will just try to summarize it as best as I can. So he's a tech genius. He loves anything tech related. He was always blessed with the gift of anything tech related. As a result of that, he has a business called Scattered to Scales, which focuses on, it's basically a CRM training for businesses. It's more of a methodology, procedure, and a method and a system than an app, because just the way you said it was beautiful. Apps can come and go, systems, platforms can come and go, but the methodology will always remain there. So that's really powerful. And he's also a podcaster. He has a wonderful podcast called The Business Bubble, where he talks about business owners to share their stories about their business. So I'm very interested to talk to a fellow podcaster, and so I mean, with Bryan, I told him this may turn into a saga because so many topics we can talk about. We can do an entire season, entire podcast, just the Payment and Bryan, Friday afternoons, talks or whatever. That would be a good one. But there's so much, and also a bit more about Bryan. He's a connector. He's a community builder. He loves building systems, communities, and groups. This is what he does. He just builds things. And however, it was not always rosy for him, just like all of us. We all have our fair share of, dark times, tragedies, and bad times. And he's had his, in 2016, as a result of a bad divorce, he had to start from zero again. That was a painful moment. But again, everything happens for a reason. Now he's bounced stronger, better, wiser, more powerful, and than ever before. So now he's on his path to becoming his best version of himself. So there's so many things we can talk about. Oh, and I didn't even mention his wonderful tagline, which is strongly believe that we are not meant to do business in life alone, and that the power and trust of our connection will help us make an exponential impact. Wow, what a beautiful way to start. Bryan, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Love the introduction. So much to talk about. This won't be the last conversation we have.
Absolutely not.
We have so much to talk about. Where shall we begin?
Well, let's start from, as I told you last time. First of all, let me ask you something. For people who don't know you, who's Bryan as a person, as a human being? We're going to talk about your business in a moment, but first, as a person, as a human being, who's Bryan?
I just had somebody today tell me that when I am completely Bryan Tarr, I'm infectious, I'm fun, I'm goofy. People want to be around me. They want to find out what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And another person said that one of the things they saw that was my purpose in life is I love to love on other people, so much so that they can't help but love themselves more.
Beautiful.
And so this is just the excitement. Another person said, when you walk into a room, Bryan, you do some of the goofiest stuff I've ever seen, and I would never do it, and it works for you. There's just this thing you do. So understanding that more and more lets me play at life everywhere I go.
Beautiful. Now, share with us an example of your wonderful goofiness.
I will walk into a room and I'm looking for fun. And I see somebody and I connect with them. And instead of me just having a pitch, what do you do? Who are you? I may come up and go, who picked that tie? I hope your wife dressed you. And they look, and it's And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. And I'm like, huh? And he's like, yeah, I don't know why I picked this tie. Wait, who are you? I'm Bryan. He's like, oh my God, I can't. And I'll do this strange thing to light somebody else up. And it's that thing, or I'm the first one on the dance floor.
Oh yeah,
I am the first one to get out there in the dance
that's the big
floor
one.
and start things going. That's a little known fact that most people don't know about me, is I've been in 2 ballroom competitions and won.
Ooh,
Yes. Yes. So I am the first one to get out there and jig it up, not because of me, because I want other people to join me. And that's who Bryan Tarr is. I want to have fun in this moment so that you join me. And the thing I love doing is creating some fun or connections or conversations, and then stepping back and watching the magic just happen.
wow. And you know what? In every community, every group, the person is a person where everyone wants to be around that person, because that person is what brings, not only breaks the ice, but brings the life into that group. So yeah, that's amazing. And I can see that. I should have known that right from the start, just by the shirt you're wearing, because that's a shirt that you don't usually wear. And the podcast, more like a just let's have fun, I
It's
love
like,
that.
where are you going? Oh, I got a date after this. I got a party after this.
Oh, okay. That's a good
Yeah.
reason. Just to
Right.
putting you in a good mood. Awesome. Beautiful. Listen, I love the way this has started. This is promising. Now, tell us. I'm going to now ask you a series of rapid fire questions to further get to
Okay.
know you as a person. Ready?
Thank you.
All right, awesome. What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Couple things. What makes me happy every day is knowing deep, deep, deep down that I'm guided and I'm protected in this life. Knowing that really helps me to become more joy and peaceful. And what really lights me up is eyes. When I can see in that other person something clicked, something changed, they have more peace and joy, that lights me up. That lights me up. And when I can help somebody to change their compass in their life, even just 1 degree, that makes me happy.
Love that. Now, what makes you smile?
What makes me smile? This goofy adventure we call life. There is a miracle happening every moment. There is an adventure happening every moment if we just pay attention. And so when I know that, I'm living and breathing, looking for that next miracle and looking for that adventure. Case in point, squirrel. Who knew a squirrel would light up my day? We have a squirrel running across the road with something in his mouth, and he's walking the sidewalk, on the sidewalk. I said to my love, that's a gangster squirrel. He's bad. Yes, he knows he owns this world. And we're looking, and he's circling the garden area. What is he? And he was hiding his nut. And then he hides his nut from everybody, climbs up the tree, and passes out. Humor from life. And it's just, you don't know. And we could have missed that. We could have second guessed it.
Absolutely.
But that's just, life is an adventure happening if you choose to watch it.
All around us. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love that. Now, let's take the happiness factor a couple of notches even higher. What makes your soul come alive in a good way?
What makes me come alive, and thinking about, there's so many things, but if I was to choose the thing that makes me come alive, the words I had when I was a kid was, what's next? And what makes me come alive is, like, there's the cartoon of Calvin and Hobbes, and Calvin was always up for an adventure. And what makes me come alive is when we create an adventure and we create something cool happen, a cool connection. I know it's out there. and I know it's possible. And when I see that happen, it just lights me up from the inside. It could have been a normal, missed the opportunity. A sunset makes me come alive. Laugh of a baby makes me come alive. Seeing the love between two people makes me come alive. Seeing somebody go from sadness to happiness comes alive. Seeing two people that would have never talked to each other, all of a sudden in a conversation they can't stop, that comes alive. I come alive. If I or somebody else leaves a trail of kindness that's visible, I come alive. And it
Beautiful.
just lights me up from inside.
That's amazing. Wow. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, what makes you sad and angry?
Thank you. Two deep things. I believe that sadness is rooted in anger. And so sadness is the first thing that we see, but underneath is really, really angry. What makes me sad and angry is when when I don't treat myself well and I'm very judgmental. That makes me sad and angry. What makes me sad and angry is when, for whatever reason, I choose to believe the lies from my past as if they're real. What makes me sad or angry is when somebody could have given a blessing to somebody else in the same breath that they did harm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like everything and anything can be both constructive or destructive.
Yeah. I look at that
Everything.
and like, you did that and it was harmful. And if you had taken one thought, you could have said something different. Like the person said, hey, thanks for getting me a cup of coffee. Thanks for getting me a cup of coffee. I didn't have to wait too long. Well, that was rude. In the same breath, you could have said, thank you for the cup of coffee. I'm grateful. How hard was that?
Yeah, thank you for working hard. I know you're busy, and thank you for your patience. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Now, what scares you?
Honestly, the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
The unknown scares me, but the unknown is where that possibility lies. And I think the reason why that's prevalent right now is I've avoided the unknown a lot of my life. But I'm learning so much that the unknown is where the unlimited possibility lies. So it scares me to the core, and yet I lean into that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I got it from, but whatever scares me is a sign now for me to lean in more.
You mentioned something at the start of this call when you said when you were younger, you were all about what's next. And now when I asked you what scares you, you mentioned the unknown. Aren't they both two coins of the same thing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I was always looking for what's next and where we're going to go.
Yeah.
And then I realized I like that as long as I knew where we're going to go. I knew what the outcome was. I knew I was safe. I knew. And that's how I lived a lot of my life. Like, okay, what's next? I know I can dance on the dance floor. I know I can get this done. What's next? Well, we're going to jump into a dance you don't even know, and you're going to be at the front. Oh, what? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And there's karaoke, by the way. I don't know how that's going to turn out. That's, so that's scary. Some of the unknown. Or we think that if I do this, I'm going to get an ROI. If I do these actions in life, I'm going to get a result. And I'm learning that that's such a lie. That only by repeating the things that seem to have either meaningless or seem to have no effect is going to bring about what we want. Yeah. So now the future is not in our hands. The future and what's possible is not up to us to create. It's unknown. I don't know how this conversation is going to lead to other things today. I don't know that if I keep doing the things I'm doing every day, that it's going to create a better result. I don't know, which comes to my practice of trust and faith. How faithful am I that I'm guided and protected, and how much can I trust in that I'm going to be taken care of? Yeah.
Absolutely. You mentioned something that is key in business, which is ROI. But the wiser I become, the older I become, I realize that some of the best, most impactful, most beautiful, most fun ROIs are not necessarily in terms of money, but in terms of having fun. Because what is the ultimate point of life? maybe I'm getting philosophical here, but it's to have fun and to laugh, because laughing is the ultimate medicine, the ultimate cure, the ultimate aphrodisiac, the ultimate whatever you want to call it. And you only can laugh when you're happy. When you put, actually, speaking of that, I was reading a book not long ago, and at one point they were saying, what is the spiritual meaning of love? It's to be creative, to create, and to be in a position of, in a state of mind of creation, creative. You need to keep that inner child within you alive. Whether you're 5 years old, 95, even 3,000 years old, that inner child is the essence of life inside of you. The moment you suppress that inner child, you might as well just pack it and call it a day, because this is what's fueling you, what's keeping you going. When you're that inner child in you that wants to have fun, to laugh, to smile, to talk, to sing, dance, whatever. This is where you're going to be able to create and be in a position to have an impact around you.
Talking about an impact, that was just a call coming in from somebody that I'm creating an impact with.
Beautiful.
That's nothing by accident, nothing by accident. And you had said the inner child is our companion.
Best friend,
the rest of our life. Yeah. So many people are like, I need to work with my inner child. What do you mean work with your inner child? Should be your partner as you're going through life. And when you were talking about your ROI, what came to mind is when somebody says, what's my return on my investment? And I said, actually, the question I want to ask you is, what's the return you're getting on your influence?
Oh, I love that. I'm glad this is recorded. I will write this down. That's a beautiful quote.
Yeah. And I bravely, I've said that in other ways, but not so succinctly as we did today. I said, if you really want to know the ROI, the return on your investment, we won't be having a long conversation, because that's not anywhere that I want to go. But if you want to have a conversation about the return on your influence, let's talk.
Absolutely. I love that, because it doesn't have to be white and black. Because, okay, I do this, I get this. Sometimes you don't get that. You get something that might be much bigger, or you might go into a detour that's going to take you to the much better place. And that's something that our little mind or ego may not allow us to see, but the soul level knows it, because, again, just like I mentioned to you last time we talked, we all get that little voice inside of us. That little voice is the voice of your soul. And the soul has two main purposes: to keep us safe and alive, and to keep us and to guide us to the next step of our journey. So when you hear that little voice, do not, for the love of God, suppress it. Listen to it and do it, because you're hearing it because it's a moment. Because you're ready for it, and because right now is the moment you're meant to listen to it, to take it to the next level. Just like a video game, you need to beat this boss to get to the next level. Without beating that boss, you won't be able to get to the next level. Same thing here.
I love where you're taking this. One of the most impactful things in my life has been meditation. And I don't think people understand yet how you need to eat, and you need to breathe, and you need to meditate. There is nothing stronger that's going to put you in contact with the divine. There's nothing stronger that's going to teach you how to shut the hell up and listen and connect with that. And it's going to teach you to hear that voice. From the moment you hear that voice to you take an action can get long. You should call up your good friend. I'm not sure. Should I call them up? I'm not sure. Are they available? Maybe they're not available. And by that time, never mind. And so we hear something that's for our good, but we take so long to respond to it. But if we're meditating and paying attention, the time gets shorter and shorter and shorter, to where we're living with that. You should call up so-and-so, call them. Where do I want to go? Don't go anywhere. Just sit there. Okay. You're inspired to do this. Stop. Oh, I need to stop. It feels really uncomfortable to walk up to that person and ask them how they're doing. Good, go do it. The faster we can get to answering and following that, cool stuff happens.
Magic.
It's a case in point. I was walking past a coffee shop that I know, and I wanted to go for one that's down the street. I haven't been to that one in a while, and I think that was one. And I get something going, no, you don't want to go. Like, what is that all about? You know this coffee shop. Go to this coffee shop. So I back up my steps and I'm going to go to the coffee shop. This is weird. Okay, I know this place. Get my coffee, sitting down. That was such a weird message. Okay, whatever. And I hear somebody said, yeah, I need to have more faith in life. If I could just have more faith in life, I think some things would be better. I'm like, excuse me, that was beautiful. If I can encourage you, keep going with that thought. That was amazing. I said,
Wow.
who are you? My name's Bryan. Hi, I'm Andrea. Hi, Andrea. I'm Bryan. Do you really believe that? I'm like, yeah, can I come talk to you? Would you please? Soul conversation. And then she said, the one thing that I've struggled with is to fully understand that the smallest thing I do can have a larger impact I don't see. Just earlier to that day, I was asking myself, what difference am I making?
Wow.
Had I not listened to that, wouldn't have sat down, I wouldn't have had the conversation, and I wouldn't have heard the message I needed to hear. And I left that coffee shop going, I am making an influence, change my life.
Wow. Powerful. This is wow stuff. You know, you did a couple of things that are absolutely amazing. One, you kept your mind open. You said out loud what was in your mind, because a lot of people would just kept that. Say, why would I say something to a stranger? You did it. That's amazing. And second of all, you asked a powerful question: what's the impact I'm going to have today? That's the most beautiful question to ask when we start our days, because I learned through my awakening that I learned the power of questions. Questions can be tremendously powerful. Just like as I told you last time we spoke, the pre-version of me, when something bad happened to me, would always ask the wrong question. Why me? What did they do to deserve this? Why? And then become the victim. And that would create a self-fulfilling negative vicious circle, which was hard to get out of it. But then the new version of me is always asking a different question, which is, no matter what it is, what is this trying to teach me? What's a lesson for me to learn from here?
Wow.
Even
I
if
learned
that's
that the hard way.
even
I
if
learned that the
that's
hard way.
even if that's when someone that you love dearly passes away or gets cancer, instead of asking why, what did they do to deserve? Why did they deserve this? Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What is a lesson for me to learn here? Because there is a lesson for me, no matter how painful it is. The more painful it is, the more powerful, deeper, and impactful the message is.
I love that. If I can reemphasize that, if you're hearing this and you're watching this, when a situation happens, the sooner you can ask, what can I learn from this? Your life will take on a new meaning, because you cannot occupy doubt and fear in the same instance as learning. It's impossible physiology. So it may be traumatic, it may be horrible. And if you just ask, what can I learn from this? It'll transform it.
I had a wonderful conversation just before you with another wonderful lady in Canada. And she shared something with me that was absolutely blown away. She said she grew up in the most, toxic environment possible. And then her world fell apart. She ended up in jail. While she was in a cell, her body was imprisoned. That's when that she realized that her mind was being freed. That was one of the most powerful, beautiful things I learned. And this was the moment I was reborn, and that I understood the reason why I was here. And I had to start from zero, not only from zero, but with a completely different mindset, mentality. And from there on, she's now completely unstoppable. How powerful is that?
I relate to that.
You're in a jail cell. You lost everything. You can't do jack. And what saved her life, just like you mentioned, was she was meditating 6 to 10 hours a day in the jail cell. And that's what allowed her to really, while being in this meditation, she realized that, hey, I might be temporarily in prison, but this is the moment that something magical is happening. My mind, my soul is being freed. And she said that was the most powerful moment of her life.
Changes you forever.
Oh, yes.
Yep, I understand that really well.
I can see it in your eyes, Bryan. I can see it. Yeah, I can, even though I've never been to jail and I don't plan on going, but I can see how that can be
Well,
Life changing.
people don't understand. People don't understand. Unfortunately, our judicial system is broken,
Absolutely.
and it is intended to keep you broken. So
Mhm.
you return back to the asset. And in the confinement, when you are placed into incarceration, the judicial system is not being fair. There is no justice. The deputies that are in charge of you are in charge of you to keep you broken. If you start being Mr. Happy, they're going to break you down because they don't want that to spread around. So that's going against you. You have the inmates, and the inmates are teaching you, asking you, what's your race? And when we are in a fight, you better fight with our races. And if they don't like you, if the inmates don't like you, they will bring you into submission, whether you like it or not. So you are not safe. There's nobody to save you. There's nobody to rescue you. The only thing you have is what's between your ears. And every fear you've had is going to come up in your face. And you're going to be faced with a situation that asks you, why do I do this? Why don't I check out?
Yeah, absolutely.
And in that moment, you're going to find out what you're made of.
Big time.
And in that moment, you're going to find out what you're capable of, and that'll change you forever. So no, the feeling that I had is I never wanted to be in that situation. I wanted to avoid it. And here I'm a person of light. I love people. I feed off their energies and their happiness. And you're put in one of the darkest situations that you could ever imagine. And darkness and evil is upon you and moving through you and around you. And there's no way to explain this, the fear that runs through you. If you've got a small anchor into what you believe and who you are, it will save you from that, and it will transform you, because that seed of who you are and who you're connected with will get you through everything and will begin to blossom. The experience that I had was there was no more separation between me and my divinity and what I believe in. I have a strong relationship with God, and that is my belief. And everything was stripped away. And he said, now you're listening to me. Now you're listening to me. You and me have work to do. Let's get busy. And there's a book that I have written and haven't put out yet. It's called Love Beyond Walls. That's the experience that I had in there, and what I witnessed that nobody knows. Nobody knows the reality. It's very, very cleverly hidden. And the only people that know about it are the people who are broken and go back into the system, and nobody wants to hear from them, and they don't have any authority. So that secret is just hidden. But I understand her. There was a moment when she had a choice: give in or get on fire. And something told her to get on fire. And there's a miracle in that.
Totally.
And when you're faced with that core thing, that physiologically creates a memory that you won't ever forget.
Absolutely. Wow. Powerful.
I got a little passionate.
Oh yeah, I know. And I'm passionate too. Wow. That's wonderful. We're gonna talk about that in a moment. We may as well just do an entire episode just on that topic, because that's a fantastic, fascinating topic. Absolutely. Now, let's move forward. Let me ask you about something lighter and more fun.
Yes.
You like traveling, right?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Absolutely.
What was your very first trip?
My very first trip was I went, let me think. I think the very first trip I went was a kid, and we went to the Grand Canyon. And we were there for a very short time, but I remember traveling to a place and see a site and seeing something of awe. And here it is many, many, many years later, and I had to ask my mom, what did we do in the Grand Canyon? I don't even remember that. But that was my first experience of travel. And then what I love about traveling is I got to go on a cruise to the Caribbean.
Wow.
And that lit me up. We snorkeled into Belize. We zip lined in the trees of Rotan. And that told me the life is possible. There's so much more going on at life. I think it lit up the adventure in me. And then the thing that really solidified it was I was going to, for my birthday, have a retreat down in Costa Rica. But the marketing didn't work and nobody was attending it. So the person that I was putting this together says, why don't you just come on down? Me by myself? And I knew them, but they were the only people I knew. So I traveled by myself down to Costa Rica for about a week and a half, met some amazing people, had some amazing adventures. And I was like, wait, I want more of this.
I'm staying here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So that lit up my travel experience.
Beautiful. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But now let me take you down a different type of traveling, down memory line. Go back to when you're a young boy. You know, when we're kids growing up, people around us, family, teachers, relatives, parents, always ask us, so Bryan, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer as a young boy?
It's a good question because my memory has a unique way of recalling things. When I was a kid, short story, I had chicken pox, but it affected the cerebellum. Very, very, very rare. And at that time, they really didn't have an understanding of why it happened. And they said to my mom, just get ready because Bryan's probably going to be a vegetable and you'll need to take care of him. But 2 weeks later, I began to laugh at Sesame Street. And my mom thought I was in pain. The nurse said, no, his motor controls are coming back. So I survived that through the grace of God, but my memory was affected. So when you ask me that, I'll think back, what my mom tells me happened when I was a kid. And I think I wanted to be a fireman who rescues people. Wow. And I like that. I wanted to be an astronaut I was so fascinated with space and the stars. And I think those are the two things that came to mind that I wanted to be when I was a kid.
Now you're speaking my language because I don't know if I told you, but when I was a kid, my dream was to become an astronaut and a pilot. Actually, my nickname growing up was Pilot. I was always fascinated, even up to today. Every night, even when it's minus 20 and freezing cold, I still go outside, just especially when there's no clouds, just staring at the stars and wondering who's out there, how's life up there. And I started waving at them. And there's a highway beside us. The car is passing. I'm always wondering. I'm sure those guys are saying, "What's this guy doing? Is he crazy? Why is he waving at me?" I'm not waving. Well, hello, guy. Hello, buddy. I'm waving at both at you and what's up there, you know. But no, that for me, I'm beyond fascinated by the stars as well. Now, let's stay when you were a kid. What was your relationship with school? Did you love it or hate it growing up?
School, but I don't understand why, but school was something that I got through. I didn't understand the kids. Now, I didn't have a strong relationship with my dad because my dad passed away when I was 3. So I didn't have that male influence. So I didn't understand what was going on with these kids. They're bullies. I'm learning stuff. I really liked the teachers because the teachers were compassionate, but the kids were just something that I had to deal with. I didn't get good grades. I was always in a C because I didn't like doing the work and I didn't like doing the homework. So it was a learning time for me, something I got through. And I never fell in love with school until high school when I found teachers who actually really cared about the kids and how they were doing.
And what was your favorite subject in school?
Computers.
Oh, wow. Yes.
I was such a computer nerd. I didn't understand it until I had a computer class and they gave me the curriculum and they gave me an outline and I finished there's 2 semesters. So I finished the semester's work in about 4 weeks.
Wow.
And I said, what do I do now? The teacher says, the lab's right there. Do whatever you want, but just stay out of trouble. So the whole next semester, I did projects. I was teaching myself computer languages, and I loved the ability to create with computers. That was my favorite.
Wow. The teacher didn't ask you, why don't you come in and help me teach the class?
No, because the teacher didn't know what to do. Well, the teacher had to
Oh,
do,
wow.
this was in high school, right? So the teacher had to keep control of the class,
Oh, yeah.
right? So they were like, and this was a special program for kids that were that learned faster. And so the teacher said, look, I'll give you whatever information you need. You show me the projects you create and I'll base your grade on that. But it's up to you. And so I remember that to this day. I've never had that experience before where the teacher's like, I got nothing else to teach you. Just stay out of trouble.
That's beautiful. Was there any class, any subjects you did not like at all?
Yeah. Physics were boring. Biology was boring.
Mhm.
I didn't see the point in that. History, I'm like, why? Yeah, his history did not excite me. I'm like, I don't care. Soldiers, war, didn't mean anything to me.
Especially
Yeah,
for
so I
you,
just,
was all about what's next, not what was before.
yeah, I'm like, I want to know what's going to happen next. What are we going next? And then physics was too complicated. She made it boring. Life sciences and biology, teachers didn't teach the subject well. I'm like, I don't really care about this. And yeah, those things didn't matter. Lunchtime, that was a favorite.
Yeah. Sports?
No, there were no sports in the school that I went to.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because it was math, science, and computer, so we didn't have competitive sports.
Ah, okay. I see.
Yep.
Must have been boring.
To a point, we had our fun. We had our fun.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Now, what was your very first job?
McDonald's.
Oh, flipping burgers or the kitchen or what?
Yep, flipping burgers, and then I got advanced to the cash registers, and then I got fired.
Oh, what happened?
That they said $100 was missing twice out of my drawer,
Oh no. Wow.
but I count my change, and so they fired me, and I couldn't prove it. And then 4 months later, somebody else said, "Hey, so sorry you got fired. So did several other people." What? Yeah, the managers was stealing money and blamed it on the employees and got them fired.
Wow. So did they ask you to come back?
Oh no, no, they didn't ask me. I was like, okay, moving on from there, learn my
Oh,
lesson in life.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let's move forward. Let's talk about your path from the moment you left school to now. How would you describe it? Would you say it was pretty much straightforward? Once you get into one lane, was it smooth sailing? Was it like more like turns and twists like a roller coaster? Okay, I get it.
It was bumpy. It was like, I think I'm doing good, wham. I think I'm doing good, wham. And it was the level of trauma only increased.
Oh,
Looking back, that's the level of trauma only increased in my life. Now I understand that I was getting further and further away from what I was supposed to be doing in life.
mm,
And it was the more I followed somebody else's pattern, the harder life got. And until finally there was no choice, but I had to listen to my soul. And everything that I learned through the traumatic experiences led me to who Bryan Tarr is today. So it was not a smooth path. There was a lot of bumps and then a reset. And then we're going to go forward from there.
that's a perfect segue. You know, there's a saying that says, change your story, change your life. By story, I mean what we tell ourselves all day long in our head. So when you're Bryan at your lowest, how did you change your story to change your life? Was it through the help of friends, family, books, mentors? Tell us a process you used to change your story to change your life.
The first story, and thank you for telling me about that.
You're welcome.
The first story of changing my life was I was working for a Fortune 500 company, thought I was doing really, really good. I was the business analyst. Here's IT and here's the business owners, and Bryan in the middle translating, and they loved me. And I was loving this. Then I experienced what's called technical espionage.
Oh,
Technical espionage is where they create a technology that doesn't exist so that those that don't know it can be shut out. And when I was hit with that, I was fired because I didn't know the technology, which didn't even exist. That brought me to such a psychological low. I didn't even know what to do. I couldn't take the trolley home, and I had to see a psychologist. Now, here's where divinity steps in. Several psychologists couldn't help out. They weren't doing any good. And somebody said, I want you to go talk to this person. Her name is Dr. Edith Eger. And when I met Dr. Edith Eger, I didn't know her history. I just knew I was referred to her. She opened me up like a book and understood what was going on. Come to find out, Dr. Edith Eger was an Auschwitz survivor.
Oh, wow.
And what she learned by surviving Auschwitz is what she taught other people to discover who they are. Now, we got to a point where I could have social conversations again, where I could be normal with other people. And she said, we're not done yet. So what do you mean we're not done yet? She said, Bryan, you're a broken little bird. We're going to get to the really reason why all of this happened, and you're going to fly again.
Wow.
And that was my first experience of somebody else believing in me more than I believed in myself, and helping me to get back, not to just life, but being better than that. And that started me on a path of introspection of what's going on here that's affecting my life. To this day, saying that I owe her who I am today is not enough. But to understand that it was who I needed at the time to become who Bryan Tarr was, that was the first time that somebody changed my compass significantly for the rest of my life.
Wow. We all have that person that completely helps us recalibrate everything. Just like you said, give us believe in ourselves, and they believe in us more than we believe in us. We all have had that. I've had it too. So would you say that person was someone you were meant to connect, and maybe even at a higher level, at the spiritual level, you both had and have kind of a soul contract?
Back then, I would say no. Now, I realize that I had the mental breakdown to need a psychologist, failed. I knew 2 or 3 other psychologists were doing a piss poor job, dissatisfied, happened to talk to somebody, how upset I am. I just want somebody who can help me out. They then referred her, who, when we connected, there was something different about me and different about her. And she was the Jedi trainer that I needed to make an impact in my life that I would still begin to see ripple into it. So circumstance after circumstance lined up so that who she was could infect who I was and who I would become. Very, very, the word I'm looking for is supreme intelligence or divine guidance into that. Everything had to come together so that I would sit on that couch listening to her open up my life and heal me.
How soon did you realize, upon getting in touch with her personally, that you knew that she is different? She's the one that's going to help you turn your life around.
First conversation.
Within the first 5-10 minutes?
Yeah, within first 5-10 minutes, because, and people that are listening understand this. Somebody says they want to help you and you're having a conversation. If you're having a conversation, that is not the person that can help you. You shouldn't be having a conversation.
They need to be listening to you.
Right. So you're having a conversation, you're telling them answers. That's not the person that's going to help you. When Dr. Edith Eger began to talk to me, and I had an answer, I knew what was going on. And she said, would you be willing to look at this? And she said words and spoke into my truth so deeply, I couldn't help but bawl. I was just bawling with sadness and crying and anger, and it all came out just because of the truth she spoke into me with love. That was the moment I was like, this one was about to change my life.
It's really interesting because I had another wonderful gentleman on my podcast. His name is Randy Brown. He was a former professional NCAA basketball coach. Quite a few of his players went on to play the NBA. Guys like Sean Elliott of the Spurs, double champion, a legend, Steve Kerr. He won 10, 11 rings, both as a player and as a coach. He's one of his students. tragedy at him. He lost two of his daughters in a span of a few years at the same age with a rare disease. And then he got into depression, suicidal. He did things that he was not supposed to. He got arrested. He spent 4 years in jail. And then it was in that moment that, just like you said, but in a different way, they had a program to help to have the inmates meet with a psychologist. He met among other guys. So he was there with this specific lady, and that lady told him, I'm probably gonna butcher it, but what he said and basketball was his life. And he said, from today, you do not use anymore the word coach from your vocabulary. You're not a coach. That person is dead. You're a different person. At first, it was all, who are you to tell me that? That's my essence. That's my life. That's my identity. And then, just like you said, she opened them up in like a book. And this guy, grown man, very tall, very strong, he started, just like you said, crying his eyes out. She broke him to the point that he was never broken like that. At the time, it was very, very painful, obviously, but then he realized a day or two later that, hey, maybe she's right. Maybe that part of me, that coaching, that identity of coach is dead. Now I have something bigger and better. And that's when his journey of being reborn started. Now he's doing, well, it wasn't easy because it took him almost 10 years to get back on his feet, especially mentally and all that. But now he's doing wonderful. And he said, this was the greatest gift of my life because that showed me what is my real purpose here. The basketball part was fun and all that, but that was just, like a pre-exam entrance into the big leagues, so to speak. Now he's doing what he loves doing, which is helping men, overcome whatever baggage is holding them back. That the way he described it really reminded me of him.
Thank you. And it is that somebody didn't give him the answer. Somebody didn't tell him what to do, because then that would have been owned by that other person.
Certainly.
But
Wow.
they, because of their gift, they were able to point out a truth they saw, but he didn't, that it was such a deep truth that your body physically responds with emotions you can't control. And then you have a choice. What am I going to do with that? You can't unsee that truth. It's not possible.
Feel almost
And sitting
naked.
with that, that truth is there. You can't unsee it. And you have to do something with it. And that's when you find out you've had the solution.
Absolutely.
I love people that do that, and it just frustrates me to no end. And they have that. I used to have other people that have that gift, and they're like, I like you, Bryan, but you're about to cry. And I now I surround myself with people like that in my life.
Oh, yes.
I want more people like that in my life that have the ability to see what I can't see.
This is the ultimate gift for all of us to have someone that can see through you, not in a negative, in a way to manipulate you, but in a way to help you grow.
Love. They
Yes.
love you so much enough that they're going to tell you the truth as they see it, even though you don't want to hear it. And the people that have that gift, that can see the deeper they can see the truth, the deeper that the work is going to be. And that's why it's their craft, is they know this. And you'll be complaining about the neighbors. You'll be complaining about the car. You'll be complaining about everything. And they're like, yeah, but I really want to ask you why you're so mad at your dad. And it blows up.
Yeah.
Like, how did you know? And it's a truth you can't. And now that you've seen the truth, I love those people in my life. I love those people in my life.
Happens quite a few. And I'm also getting some way, somehow attracted to these people, or rather my podcast attracting these people. I had such a lady the other day from the UK. She has this gift. As soon as she sees someone, she can say things about that person that's going to completely open them wide open. And that's beautiful to see.
It's a special gift. It's like, it's as obvious to them as it is to you when you walk out and the sky is blue and the clouds are out and the trees are green. That's obvious. How can anybody not see that? And these people with that gift, they see the truth just as plain as day.
Yes. Now you mentioned that You had to restart from zero back in 2016.
Yeah.
Tell us about
Yeah.
that.
We touched on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I had enough courage. Well, actually, it started off when I was in a marriage and was really, really going bad. And we went to counseling, and the counselor looked at me and said, "You're done." I'm like, "What?
Wow.
You're done? I'm looking at you and you're already done with this marriage, but you just haven't told her." I'm like, "How did you know?" They said, "Be a man and tell her." And that's when I had the courage to say, "This marriage is over." You ever want to see a woman pissed and angry? You just tell her that
Over.
what she wants in life is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And she got super angry. And that turned into a long, another story for another time, but a battle. And it ended, we got divorced, but there was so many battles, and that I fought and fought and fought and fought again and again and again. And the last battle that was fought was the thing called the contempt court, where nobody wins in contempt court. It's just there to make somebody pay what they know they owe. But what I didn't understand was the judicial system was broken. And so in our final battle, the judge made a decision that was absolutely out of my ability to do. And during this final battle, 2 constitutional rights that I have were taken from me, and I had no right to take them back. And the judge held me to a high standard. He knew I was going to fail, and I failed. I couldn't do what he said. And he said, "Okay, bailiff, remand him into custody." It was so shocking that the opposing attorney, I heard him go, "Oh shit." He knew that he had messed up, that something happened, and the results were not what he expected. Then that's when I began the journey. I was remanded into custody and put into jail for 30 days. And that's nothing like, if you're in jail for more than 1 year, your mind changes significantly. But when you're in a safe space around people living a life, to be placed, to have handcuffs placed around your back, to be put into a room that you don't know what's happening next, and you don't know who is your friend and who's your enemy, to be in a state of potential violence for over 14 hours, you're in a dark, dark, dark place. And there's a lot that happened. There were some miracles that happened in that. And I made it through the 30 days. And by the grace of God, I found an anchor mentally that helped me to survive that. When I came out of that, had no place to live, had no job, had no money, had nothing. Starting over just in 2016, reset my whole entire life. I didn't know what to do. I did not have the answer this time. I didn't have the fix. I didn't have what I would do. So I just had to start from what was here. And what was here is I knew is service. So I just started asking people, how can I help you? And the other thing that came out of me to finding out that I had skill sets in my head that I could serve other people with, which started my entrepreneurial career from there. The other thing is I was on the beach trying to deal with a lot of the mental stuff that was going on. And I saw somebody playing with rocks and balancing them. And I thought that would be a pretty cool thing. So I created this, and I ended up learning that I love this. You take a rock and you balance this one, and then you balance this one. And I got creative. And somebody walked up to what I created after I walked away, and they were in awe. And I love this expression. I could do something that would give something to somebody else. Well, then somebody asked me to teach it to them.
Wow.
I don't know. You kind of do this and do that. And I just made it up. And they learned it, and they learned it well. And then they came back and said that their life had changed. I'm like, wait. I just taught you to balance rocks. They said, yeah, but when I did the thing I think I couldn't do, I understand that I wasn't given enough to my job, and I wasn't given enough to my relationship. And so I made those changes. And so this is another level of service that I was able to be people. So from those experiences of me being who I am, I learned how I could begin to build my entrepreneurial career. And I learned that who Bryan Tarr was here for a reason, to help other people.
Beautiful. Wow, that's powerful. And that's a great segue now. Let's talk about the impact you're having in the world. Tell us about the business you're building now.
Thank you. The business that I'm building now at first was me and I understand systems and communications and technologies easy. They're a puzzle piece to me. Business owners that are visionaries don't like spreadsheets. They don't like systems. And I thought, hey, here's a great opportunity to serve. But life has called me to something greater than even that. Through my servicing my clients and working with these people, I realized that there is a lie in business that we're supposed to do this ourselves. And so we don't trust people, and we don't allow people to help us, and we don't seek help. And I was inspired by Simon Sinek, who said that we are all leaders because we're running our own business. And the highest form of leadership is to look to the left and to look to the right and help that person out. We're all brothers and sisters, not family, but brothers and sisters. Like, you don't mess with my sister, I got her back. So who can Bryan Tarr be to show and teach other people to stand up for the person on their left and their right in business? And when the tide rises, all boats float. And that's become my passion, is to be that influence that a person says, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so is in their business. I think I can help them. I'm going to go help them. Not because I'm going to get anything from it, but because I can help them. That would make a change in the world and a change in a ripple.
Wow, that's powerful. I'm so glad I'm recording this because I definitely want to re-watch this myself. You've been spitting fire, my friend. This is beautiful, beautiful
Thank
wisdom.
you.
This is amazing. You know, as I mentioned, we all have had our fair share of bad things happen to us, dark times, tragedies. Sure, at the time they hurt a lot, but then they're there for a reason, because to help us grow to become the person we're meant to be. And then that becomes part of our story, becomes our story. And then our story becomes our gift. And then that gift becomes our responsibility to share it with the world, because that's ultimately one of the main purposes, at least from what I understand, of why we are here. We're not just here to roam around and accumulate a bunch of crap for nothing. We are here to help everyone else elevate, everyone else to help and become better, wiser. So, and
Well
you,
said. Somebody told me once, you've got an amazing natural gift that other people don't have, and it's not for you. The gift you have is not for you. It was meant for other people. And what right do you have to keep it from them?
bingo,
Go teach.
bingo, and teach through whatever means you're more comfortable, whether it's through podcasting, books, singing, music, painting, playing guitar, dancing, whatever way, or balancing rocks, whatever way.
You'll
Do
figure it
it.
out.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow,
Love
this is
that. Love
powerful.
that.
Now, so tell us more about your business. Who would you say is your ideal client avatar?
Thank you. Number one, somebody gave me the courage to believe that I could choose who I want to work with. That was an important shift in my business. And when I decided that, I want to work with that person who has the energy and believes in their vision. They've gotten some results and helping other people. And now they know that they can't keep doing this on their own. Or they've trusted somebody and that trust is broken. Or they've put some systems and technologies into their business, but it's kind of like a Frankenstein. And they're looking for somebody who's more of a genius at figuring this stuff out than they are, and they can trust them. So this person loves their business, is on fire with their vision, and they're ready and willing to allow somebody to come in and join them right where they're at on the journey and go with them on the journey to create a business that becomes greater than who they are. And we have a lot of fun while we're doing it.
Absolutely. Would you say most of your clients are men or women?
Interestingly enough, the majority of my clients are women.
Same here.
Yes, I
Yes.
think the women are bold, they're relationship based, and they're very, when they get locked onto something, it is on, and they're going to make that happen. And us men are learning from women. The men that I work with are very in touch with the feminine side of them and relationship based and very, very driven. And those are some of my greatest clients that I have. And so I'm looking for that person, because I'm not just a coach. I'm more than a consultant. I am their partner that they've been looking for, that knows how to create trust. And one of my clients said, "You're good with systems and technologies, Bryan, but the reason I love working with you is because you create an environment where I can explore what it's like to be a CEO and things that I might be scared of and things that I'm not sure of. I can explore that with you until we come up with the action we want to take." Oh, and I'm loving this. And the other person just the other day said, "You should work with Bryan." And I'm listening to this. I'm like, yeah. She goes, "Because I have all of these things all over the place and it's a mess and they're swirling around like hummingbirds. And Bryan comes in and grabs one and makes it happen. And then I can let go of everything else and breathe." I don't know how he does it, but I love when he does it. I bring him this and he's like, "Wait, that one. We're going to roll with that one."
That's amazing. That's awesome. Now, speaking of that, of impact, tell us an example of the most remarkable transformation you've seen from one of your clients so far.
The most remarkable transformation was three. There's, four. Wow. Okay. Let me pick one.
Write a book, I know.
Right. I began working with a gentleman who knew his business and knew what he wanted to create. So he started creating the systems and the processes and the technologies in that so that he could do more of that. And in that process of that, he said, "I'm going to check out for a couple of weeks because I don't feel aligned anymore." Curious. Okay. So he went and he did some deep personal work. The reason he started doing the business was not connected to his soul. But from the exploration, he was able to come to a point to realize that this business was not connected to his soul. So what is? He came out of the work that he did so on fire, so passionate about what this business should be. It was clarity and provided clarity for everything else we needed to do. Now the vision was fresher and the mission was fresher. So now everything we did could wrap around that. And what we did before complemented it. But that was a beautiful transformation for him, to see him own his business and why, and to see him shift that to something greater and deeper. The second most significant change that I saw was, again, we were working with the systems and the technologies and putting this in place because she had tried to do this for 8 years and failed. And we accomplished in 3 months what she'd been trying to do in the last 3 years. And then she said, "I want to thank you for the revelation you gave me. Please tell me more."
Yeah, indeed.
She said, right? And she said, "I thought the problem was with my team and the processes that we were using, and that's what we needed to fix. As we got better at those things, the problem was me. I didn't trust my team. I couldn't believe that that was me. I teach trust, and I wasn't trusting my own team. I had to sit with that. Thank you for helping me realize that. And now I love my team."
She was the bottleneck without realizing it. Wow.
She didn't realize it until we started to explore, I guess, that space that I create. And in that we can create the systems and technologies and the communications, but it's only going to point back to the business owner. And in this space, they can explore, maybe I did start this out of ego and it's not connected to my soul. And now I can connect it to my soul. And then out of that, things just explode and become beautiful.
Powerful indeed. Wow. Because, just like you mentioned, at least for me, and I'm sure you would agree, the greatest rewards in any business relationship is definitely not the money. For me, it's a transformation. And number two, the friendships you build in the process. And then the money is the icing on the cake. The money is not the cake. That's the mistake I made before, because before my awakening, it was all about money and profit, like any person out there. But since I had my spiritual awakening, for me, it's all about the impact, the transformation. Because when you focus on that, then something magical happens.
The
right
money will be
people,
a side effect, like you said.
exactly. The right people will magically manifest in your life. All the the pieces will fall into place, and as a natural byproduct, money is going to take care of itself. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And this is one of the more liberating feelings ever in life that I felt. See, wow, it's almost as if I had unlocked one of the secret mysteries of the universe.
Yeah. And I want to tell people, just like you said, stop trying to 10x and stop trying to get this, and stop trying to go 6-7 figures, and stop trying to get that 10K month and that 20K month. You're chasing the wrong truth.
Stop chasing
But
the
it's
ROI.
popular.
Stop chasing the ROI. The ROI can be much more than the money or 10xing it. It can be just about you being in line with you, laughing, smiling, because that's going to put you in a much different state of mind of serving. And that's when the magic starts.
Yeah. Amazing book called The Go-Giver. And the
down.
value that you give out will be the value that'll be returned to you pretty quickly.
The Go-Giver. Gonna check this out. Awesome. Wow. Beautiful, Bryan. Listen, we can talk for hours. And
I think we're going to have more conversations.
Maybe we should, instead of just doing another episode, maybe we should start a podcast together.
Let's do that.
I'm not joking, but who knows? Let me now ask you about something that is the theme of this podcast. Cause. What would you say is a cause that you're deeply passionate?
A cause being defined as an organization or some type of
impact.
Impact.
Yes.
I think a couple things come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
But a cause that I'm passionate about, couple different things. I think two things come to mind. One that I've really understood by being a part of it is there's too many broken men out there. Because of our society and community, the men we're learning to live broken. And we don't have the information that we need and the support to understand. Back in the day, the men would take you out of the village, away from the women, to go learn what it's like to be a man. And we don't have that today. And because of that, there's so much brokenness that the more that the programs that help men to relearn what it is to be a man, I'm super passionate about that, because that'll start to repair a lot of things in life. And so I'm learning to become parts of those things and help wherever I can. This other thing I'm passionate about is homelessness. Yeah. And I was part of a homeless coalition. And what that did was taught me that homelessness is not a thing to deal with. There was a project, I think, called To End Homelessness, or a housing initiative. And I realized you're missing the point. Homeless is a community. They are people who've embraced a specific lifestyle, and they have as much uniqueness as everybody else does. And there are bad people and there are good people. And same with us, people who have what we quote a normal life. But if you take the time to listen to their story of the individual, you just might realize that you could make a difference for that one person. And the education about homelessness and how to deal with it and what's really going on is so weak out there that I was part of a homeless coalition. And I think in the future, I'll be a part of it again to teach a repeatable education pattern that teaches the community how to effectively deal with this other part of this hidden community that's around them.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you mentioned we shouldn't just look at the symptom, but at the root cause. What is causing that? It's a societal issue. Just like you mentioned, the legal system is broken. The legal system is very skewed against men. Men have basically in North American and Western countries, and I've traveled a lot. I've seen a lot. In Western countries, men and the totem pole, they come first women, kids, pets, then the men. And I'm not joking. Because as a man, you have absolutely very little protection from the law, despite what they want you to believe. And that is a scary place to be. So there's a lot of things that need to be changed. As you mentioned, a lot of people, sure, I mean, I would say that the majority of people that are homeless, it's not because they losers or bumps, or just that they've had a bad card dealt to them. Just like you mentioned, a divorce, a bankruptcy can clean you out, and you have no social safety, for example, that, for example, women may enjoy, but us men, we may not have that because the system is against us. Not against, but set up in a way that it's not, they tend to say, oh, be a man, do the right thing. You should be able to fend off for yourself. Yes, we do that. But a time comes that we're not able to because everything comes after you. And then what do? So when you see us, and that's what I tell everyone, when you see a homeless person around you, don't just look at them at their torn and smelly clothes or whatever. Look at the person, the soul. That's a person that is down. Being homeless, being broke, that's not a permanent position, just a temporary situation. Maybe that person, is all they need is just treat them with respect. Talk to them as a human being. It doesn't mean go and give them money. No, just have a conversation. Hey, how are you? How's your day? What's your name? Especially if you see that person every day, go get them a coffee or a juice or a hamburger or whatever. Or if you see them often, you start talking to them, give them a book. Because all these people, all they need is just, they've been so badly treated that they lost all hope, not only in themselves, but in goodness, in humanity. And just take one person to show them, hey, doing good is not dead. So there's someone that believes in me.
And if somebody's listening to this and understands homelessness, listen to this. It's not up to you to change that person's life.
No.
Don't give them food. Don't give them handouts, because as we did research, you're not equipped to handle their legal issues, their mental issues, and all you're doing is enabling them. But if you care enough, homeless people don't come across your path by random. They don't.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If a person comes across, find out who they are, ask them what their name is because they're invisible. And do you care enough to help them find the help they need? Get them into a check-in center, get them into a place, not to you. And if you're not willing to do that, then stop giving them handouts and stop being the reason they're not going to go to a check-in place.
Absolutely.
But if you have the courage, find out what their name is.
Yes.
And find out, are they willing to accept help? Those two questions right there will classify this person as crazy and you need to back away, or as somebody who really, really needs help. And the thing that changed me about this was I was walking downtown and I'm having a difficult day and I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know what's going on and I'm pissed off. And this homeless person says, "You got some money?" I said, "No, brother, I don't." He says, "That's okay. Just keep trusting in God and he'll find your way."
Wow.
I look at him and I said, "What did you just say?" He said, "Do you have some money?" I said, No, the other than that. What are you talking about? I just asked you if you need to have some money. You're weird. If you don't have money, just go on. He could not recall what he said.
Wow.
So things don't happen by chance.
No, it's a message.
So if a homeless person comes across you, you ask yourself, why did this person come across my path? And do I have the courage enough to get to know them?
Absolutely. Everything happens for a reason at the right time. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love what you bring out in me.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We can talk. It's been an hour and a half, but I don't care. We can go for an hour and a half. But yeah, this is beautiful, Bryan. And I will say one thing about you. You mentioned your superpower, but I will say you have another superpower. You're bringing people alive. You're contagious, because some people, I had a podcast earlier today. The person was very low key, and by speaking low and with a low voice was sapping my energy. You know what I mean? But you, it's all opposite. You speak loud, right in your face, passionate. You're my kind of guy, like I am. It's beautiful. And that is a beautiful gift that you have, brother.
Thank you.
And when you said at the beginning that you're the, you love, not only breaking the ice, but being being the life of the party. Now I can see why, because this is part of who you are. It's part of, not just being the life of the party, but the light that ignites the party, that brings it alive, that makes it come alive.
This is a funny analogy, but I want to be the disco ball. right? When the disco ball lights up and it reflects everything, the party's on. It's not about the disco ball, but the party's about to get started.
Maybe you were a disco ball in a past life. You never know. A
I
parallel
could
life,
be. Love it.
That's beautiful. Listen, we have to do a part 2 pretty soon, but let's wrap this up. Let me finish by
Okay.
asking you a series of rapid fire questions on advices.
Okay.
What would you say has been so far the best piece of advice you've received?
Do the work and get into action.
Beautiful. And the worst piece of advice you've received, other than get a job or be a man, do the right thing?
The worst piece of advice that I got. There's a lot of it, but I think the worst piece of advice that I got. Oh, this has been a theme. You just need to listen to me. You just need to do what I say.
Who the hell are you?
I believed that at one point. That was the
Yeah.
worst piece of advice ever. Just do what I say and listen to me.
Yeah.
Now that I'm on the other side of that, I would have said, who the hell are you? But at that one point, I couldn't. That was the worst piece of advice anybody could have given me.
Yes. Totally with you on that. Now, imagine that you were blessed with a time machine. You can go back in time and sit face to face with an 18-year-old Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
What's the number one piece of advice you would give to him, knowing all that you know now?
I would say, Bryan, I'm going to tell you some stuff. It's not going to make any sense, but I get a feeling that you really want to live an extraordinary life. To do that, fail fast, fail forward, and fail often, and embrace that. Mm-hmm. And the other piece of advice, I had it a second ago, is every day you wake up, ask yourself, what kind of shit can I get away with? Ask yourself, what kind of shit can I get away with today? Because that's going to put you on the edge and find out what you're made of.
Beautiful. Love that. Now, imagine that your 6-year-old Bryan was, or the inner child in you was sitting face to face with you now. What would he say to you? Would he say, you're on the right track, buddy, keep it up? Or what the hell you are? You need to pick up the pace. Basically, what would the inner child in you think of you right now?
I would say to the 6-year-old, if we had a time machine and went back, I would say, Bryan, you're beautiful. You're amazing. Bryan, I love you. Mm-hmm. No matter what happens in life, never forget that you're a magical being and you can create anything you want in life. Mm-hmm. Always remember you're loved more than you understand, and never stop believing in yourself.
Amen.
And go have an adventure.
Life is an adventure. Absolutely. Wow. Amazing. Now, you have your own podcast. Imagine that today you're interviewing the most special person in your life, which is yourself. What is the first question you want to ask yourself? What's the first question that comes to your mind? Don't think too much.
Yeah. The first thought that comes to mind, oh, this is interesting, interviewing myself. And I would say, ask him, Bryan, what lights you up? What just lights you up and sets you on fire?
And would your answer right now be different than what you said early on when I asked you that question?
It might be, because I'm very in the moment, and I'm glad things are recorded. Mm-hmm. But the answer would probably be the same. Mm-hmm. And you know what? When we have the podcast, there may be something different that lights me up. That I found that's truer. Totally. Yeah, but the answer would probably be the same, is that look in other people's eyes when you can see it. They're like, it's the aha moment. Mm-hmm. And you got to witness that aha moment, and that soul just became closer with its contract.
Love that. Now, the final question, that's my favorite question to ask. And I did mention to you last time when we spoke, and that is, what is the smallest thing you've done that has had the greatest positive impact in both your life and business? And by small, I don't mean something small. I mean the one thing you've done. For me, it's been starting my podcast. What about you, Bryan?
Interestingly enough, the smallest thing I did was fire and release the coach that I had, having no idea what was next.
Wow.
I was scared. I needed to find the person that had the answer, that had the solution to help me save myself in business. And because it wasn't working, I let him go, not having any idea what I was going to do next to be able to grow my business. That was a really big point of surrendering. And a week after that happened, I found the right person, I found the answer, and I found more Bryan Tarr than I ever have.
Beautiful. Love that. Now, as I said, we can talk for hours. Definitely have to do a part 2, and maybe who knows, a season, and who knows, maybe a podcast, just me and you. That's,
Or
I
us
wouldn't
together.
discard
We
that.
said that.
That could be on the cards. You never know.
Yes.
So now, if someone wants to connect with you, Bryan, what's the best way to do so?
Stalk me. Please stalk me. BryanTarr.com is a place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Find Bryan Tarr on social media. Look up Rock Yoga and see the stuff that I've done. Find me on LinkedIn, find me on Instagram, find me on Facebook, and start a conversation any way you can. You can text me at 619-365-5319 and start a conversation.
Beautiful.
And the thing I encourage people is start a conversation with me, because you have no idea where it will go and what we'll create together.
Just like there's a cheesy line that says you're one conversation away from a completely different life.
Yeah. And we can light that up together.
Absolutely beautiful. With a disco ball, preferably,
Yes. Come talk to the disco ball.
Hey, that could be a new branding, the disco ball, aka Bryan. Let me lighten your life,
I like it. I love that.
Let me help you bring the inner child out of you and make you embrace it. Beautiful.
Next time we talked, I might have a disco ball.
Oh, yes. It's on. You're on record, brother. Don't check it out on me. Listen, I love talking to you. You're amazing. Love your passion, your story. And we haven't even scratched the surface. Definitely will bring you back for part 2. So
Please.
we'll schedule that. I salute you, Bryan. You're a true leader with a heart. Keep shining your light. Keep spreading your message, blessing the world with your presence, with your smile, with your impact, and with your disco ball, with all the beautiful thing you're doing out there. Stay safe, stay awesome. God bless you, brother. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
You're welcome. Cheers.